This is Ideas to Human Better, and I am your host, Eva Payne. Today, I have the honor and privilege of chatting with Miss Shana. She is an incredible human that I met at the Flow Life retreat. It was actually a retreat that my friend Lori was hosting. I will put Lori's podcast, I'll link it down below. So my friend Lori came to my retreat and then really felt called to be in this space and host one on her own and brought together family and friends of hers. And I came to just help facilitate on the outskirts and be a support. And that's where I met Shana. And she's just so willing and open to share her story and what brought her to the retreat, to this medicine and to this healing journey. And I hope that you gain something from her testimonial and her experience. So without further ado, hello, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you. Such an honor to be here and to be able to share.
Yeah, thank you so much for just being open and willing. I know for some people it's really challenging to share their story and, why they chose in and why they would want to do something like this. And then also just how it's benefited. I mean, it's been several months since the retreat. It was in February, right? Is that right? February?
I just had to count on my fingers. It's been 6 months.
Yeah, 6 months. Okay, so this is great. Like 6 months later, how has this impacted your life? So let's first start before we go there. Let's first start with just a little bit about you and what was your life like leading up to saying yes? And what was that like for you to actually finally commit and just be like, "Okay, fine. I'm doing this."
Yeah, I'm 46 years old. I have an adult daughter. She's 19. I have a son who's 14, and I'm a single mom for the most part. Their dad is involved. I'm kind of the one that, runs the camp. And gosh, I work full time. I volunteer. I have great friends. So I would say that even before the retreat, I felt like I had a really rich life. I have, great people around me and wonderful support. But I felt I was starting to experience a lot more anxiety than I've ever experienced in my life. And in talk therapy, I was having a lot of really big um, discoveries, but I wasn't finding a solution. I wasn't finding a path forward. I was just knowing is really great, right? Like I can know something about myself, but I couldn't figure out how to break through it. And then there was a second part to this. And the second part is that my daughter has bipolar
Mm.
2, bipolar disorder. And so she lives with bipolar disorder. She's an incredible, powerful, strong, um, amazing woman. Um, I think the journey through her using traditional medicine and having that not work led me to a place of wanting to explore things for her. So in many ways, I thought I was entering this for her,
Mm.
knowing there was this other side, right? Like I know there's this other thing, but I really felt like I was exploring things um, to for her, and that brought me to Lori. Lori has been in my life off and on for a number of years. We went to middle school together. Oh,
Okay. I love it.
yeah, forever. And she was so open, I mean, social media open about her experience. And so that every time she would post something, I would find myself a little more curious and a little more curious. And then she posted um, just this incredibly vulnerable, raw post about the entire experience of what led her.
Mhm.
And that's when I reached out and I just said, "Hey, can we just sit down and talk?" So we did. And when we met at a place that was familiar to both of us in the town we both grew up in. We walked in there and she ran into a woman that she met on her first retreat that lives halfway across the country in little old Mukilteo. So it was just, if you start paying attention and you're like, okay, sign, 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 they were all there. And and we just both sat down and we were already kind of in the space of like truth and wonder. And I wanted to hear her truth. I wanted to share mine. And then just the wonder of all of it. And then running into this woman, and it's like, okay, I think I committed to it at the table. I said,
How can you not if that isn't a synchronicity, a meaningful coincidence? I mean, that's so random because she had been to the retreat like over like a year, I think, prior to that. And so to walk in and have, I think it was Sammy, but to have another woman walk in who literally lives in another state, just
"Mhm."
happens to be in your town at that exact moment, at that exact location. I mean, obviously, you were meant to be there. And so
Right.
let's find out like why you were meant to be there. Cause now I'm sure everyone's like, okay, that's a crazy synchronicity. So how'd it go? So I'm curious for you. You commit. I'm sure there are some nerves and just anticipation leading up. But
And
as far as like the experience in and of itself, I mean, whether it's about the medicine or any of the modalities, like what really stands out to you, either stood out to you then or stands out to you now about the experience?
oh my gosh. That is a really big question because there's a lot. Um, I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. I didn't know if I could get myself to the retreat.
Okay.
And I wanted on the way to the retreat, I called my best friend and I said, I'm going to share my location. And if I don't make it to this location in the next half hour, I want you to come and find me and get me there. Because I need this, but I'm not like I'm really struggling getting my body into this place.
Okay, but let me ask you then. So let's just step into that. What were you afraid of? Because I do have a lot of people tell me that they're afraid. So is it the experience in of itself? Is it how you think it's going to go? Is it what? What was the fear for you?
I think I was really afraid. Truthfully, I was afraid of uncovering things that I had maybe covered for a reason. Like I don't
Mhm.
maybe they're going to remember things that I really don't want to remember. Does that make
Oh
sense?
yeah, yeah, for
And
sure.
I had created this whole sort of I had created this whole sort of story to support that, right? Because whatever we want to see, we're going to see in the world and life. If we're looking for reasons to not do something, we're going to find them.
Yeah, yeah.
Just knew that I just had a I had a deep knowing somewhere somehow that I needed to get there. I needed to get there. And so I just called my most accountable best friend and or my best friend that would hold me the most, that I knew she would drive to where I was, pick me up if she had to, and like run me there. Like she would do anything. So I got there and I walked in and I just sort of melted into tears and was received. I don't know if you could ever sort of know what the ideal situation to walk in to is when you're in that space, when you're scared and you've pushed yourself, but it was the most perfect everything. Everybody stopped I was late because I was scared. Everybody stopped, embraced me. They welcomed me. They created space for my anxiety and my fear to just
Mm,
melt away, to
yeah.
let it be okay. And I somehow have derailed from the original question, but I remember what it was. I just think that part is so important because I think it's okay to be scared and do it anyway.
Yeah.
It's okay to create all those things, but as long as you can remind yourself like you deserve this, whatever it is. Um, and if you can let go of the idea of all the things that scare you and be open to whatever might happen. I know it could have so easily gone the other way because I came close to texting Lori that I wasn't coming about an hour before. And I'm just very grateful for whatever power and strength I found to get there
Yeah, me too. Me
because
too.
imagine. I don't even want to think about what if I didn't. Um, and I think if I'm going to lead into what the most profound things that happened, I would say that this morning was such a good reminder, and it all couldn't have been more perfect timing. My parents live in my neighborhood. My mom had some stuff from the garden. I walked over this morning to get it. My mom and I started talking. We had what a pretty normal conversation, and she said something that 6 months ago we would have gotten in an argument. We would have fought, and I would have left.
Mm.
And we sat in it. Now she hasn't had this experience. She's hasn't really changed much at all in the last 6 months. But I've changed so much that not only did we sit through it, I was able to acknowledge the discomfort. I was able to sit in the discomfort. And that's the only reason I can do that. The only reason I have these tools is because of my journey. Not, nothing else. I mean, that's why.
Did you find that soon after, that ability to sit in the discomfort of life and challenges? Has this been a progression over the last 6 months, like
It was
post this experience? How have you seen it unfold for you?
it was pretty immediate. Part of what happened in my medicine journey, um, and I would have never expected it. I would have never seen it coming, but I knew it driving home on Sunday. I knew it the next day. Um, what I experienced, I my mom and I have had a very tumultuous. Sorry, my dog's going
That's good. It's all
crazy.
good. It's all good.
My mom and I have always had a lot of unresolved hurt, um, childhood stuff, and no matter how much I tried, I could not get rid of the resentment. I could not, and when I say I've tried hard, I mean years of talk therapy, different talk therapists, all these different things to try to figure out how to engage with her in a way that is loving, but with boundaries for myself.
Yeah.
And I always went to boundaries, 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 boundaries. But guess what? It was never, that's not really, I mean, yes, I'm not discounting or discrediting boundaries, but that's not what was holding,
Mhm.
had a hold of me. What had a hold of me was a resentment that I couldn't let go of.
Yeah.
And what happened for me with the medicine was I was able to travel back to see my parents as children, to, oh, this is going to get me, to find a softness and a tenderness for her that I didn't have. And when I saw her as a child, she was scared and she was hurting. And I never thought of her like that. And for some reason that's all I needed. And so I knew the next day in my oh, what's the word? When I met with
Integration.
integration, I
Yeah.
knew integration, I knew it. I in my like I literally couldn't wait to hug her, which I've never felt before in my life. Usually I feel that she's like her the physical closeness is really hard for me with her. And I just couldn't wait. I couldn't wait to hug her. And so the next day driving home, I pulled over in her driveway and immediately just like ran up and held her and thanked her for doing the best she could. And so it was pretty immediate, but it's also developed over time. That was the biggest relationship. That relationship has been incredibly challenging for me for a number of years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what a big deal, right? If I can heal myself in that relationship,
Yeah.
I mean, we don't even realize how big that maternal connection is, and when it's hurt or when it's unhealed, how hard it can be. you know?
Yeah.
And so this morning when I just thought, how wild that I'm doing this today because here it is again, right?
Yeah.
Here it is again, get that gift over and over and over.
Yeah. It's just learning to be a better human.
Yeah.
Oh, instead of holding that pain, that resentment, having boundaries that are stiff and hard and, sometimes they're needed, but the softness, like you said, like you spoke of, I mean, I genuinely believe this medicine just makes us better people, kinder people, more empathetic, more connected. It doesn't mean there's still not work for you to do. There's plenty of work, right? Plenty of conversations that need to happen, but you can do it with just an openness and you're doing the best you can. And I see it and I get it. And not taking things so personal,
Hmm.
right? It's like it's so much of other we all have our own stuff and we take things so personal.
Yeah.
We get our feelings hurt so easily. And it's just like we're doing our best. We are all doing our best.
Yeah, and just the ability to have some tenderness. Like I just
Yes.
had none for her. None.
Mhm.
Like I look back and I don't have any regrets. I don't feel like I couldn't have done what I did a moment sooner. Um and I have to remind myself I was doing my best too. Up until that point, I was doing my best. And that's the most profound and biggest, but there have been so many others. I mean, even with and I'm still in talk therapy, by the way. I still love my therapist,
Mm. Yeah.
and but my ability to to have real and meaningful progress has completely changed. I don't feel like I just sit and talk anymore. I feel like we're moving, we're advancing, where my brain has a new sort of endless path into a place of like progress and understanding and forgiveness and just the ability to be uncomfortable. I
Mhm.
don't have to run out of uncomfortable situations. And it's even with my daughter, it's like, it's incredible. It can get uncomfortable and we can get through it. Nobody has to run away. Nobody has to get angry. Nobody has to leave the room.
Yeah. I've learned that a lot in my life too, and I'm still learning it.
Hmm.
Things come up, I'm like, "Oh, here's the opportunity." But yeah, it's the uh, avoiding the running, right? Avoiding the mean comment back or and just really just sitting and saying, "Okay, hold on, take a breath. And how can I move forward with more tenderness like you said and just love?"
Yeah. And gosh, I had a romantic relationship end about 5 months before the journey, and I was really hurting from that. And I felt this.
Mhm.
I think that was part of the anxiety. Was just this anxious, like this aloneness, this sort of what am I going to do now? And I couldn't settle my soul. I don't know how else to explain it.
Yeah.
I couldn't settle myself from that ending. And ever since then, ever since the retreat, I've just been like at peace.
Mhm.
Um, and I still date, but not the same at all. I don't have this sort of, oh, I need to find someone. I mean, I'd like to, really,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's just not, I'm okay, I'm comfortable with myself and I trust myself. That was the big thing. I think that was one of the first things I said after I wrote in my journal. I have my journal next to me in case, but one of the first things I wrote was, and I think the integration person she had me write it all in my inside cover. Um, I can trust myself. I am okay.
Mhm.
I have a deep knowing, and it's just too good. I think you'll.
Okay, so was it scary? Was the fear warranted?
The fear wasn't warranted. No. Were there parts of the journey that I was like, whoa? Yes. But how, if you think about being in a therapist's office for 10 years,
Yeah.
that's whoa,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's big. That's kind of scary. So, anything that's going to be profoundly beautiful and amazing and incredible and life changing, you know,
Yeah.
whoa. I mean, there were a few moments where I was like, I don't, in the very beginning, I don't know if you remember, but I was like, nope, 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 nope. And then because there was so much love and so much support and um, between you and the others that were sitting with us, I was able to let go.
Yeah.
Couldn't have done that without that nurturing and that just sort of, I called it, it felt very maternal to me. But that's something that again I admit I was missing in my
Yeah.
life as a child. And so I think it was really incredible how it showed up in that way.
Mhm.
I think I walked away thinking of all of the, I don't know what to call all of you that sat with us.
Facilitators,
This
guides,
sounds
moms.
clin-
I don't know.
this sounds so clinical. I'm like, no, but yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just felt like everybody sort of mothered me in the way that I needed at any given moment to keep going.
Yeah. And that's the energy of the medicine. It really is a motherly, nurturing energy. And that's what I tell people. Like, you're gonna feel love. There might be hard parts, but it's not like the walls are melting or monsters are popping out. What's hard is sitting with the feelings, sitting with the emotions, like sitting with the, oh my gosh, my mom did the best she could and her childhood was rough too. And where's the grace been? Where's the like, oh, wow. Just that epiphany. And not just to know it, because you can know it in therapy. You can know it like you know it like you know it. It's to embody it. And that's a lot. It's a lot of emotion, a
Mhm.
lot of deep, deep feeling
Yeah.
that we don't feel very often. And we're so disconnected from ourselves and others and the way that we've set up this society, and that medicine gets you in like your heart, your deepest parts of your heart.
It does, because I did know all of those things. I knew how scary and traumatic my mom's childhood was. I knew this. I knew this for years. And you know what? I will tell you exactly what feeling it gave me. I felt burdened.
Mm,
I felt burdened by knowing that. I felt that knowing it meant I was supposed to forget what she did to me because something worse happened to her. That was my what my brain said. And I think about that now and I smile a little bit, not because it's funny, it's just so wild. It
yeah,
that was what I thought. And I didn't have any other tools to think about it differently, you know?
yeah,
And now I do, but oh my goodness, like I think back to that way of thinking and I go, wow. And I consider myself, pretty nice person, but still you can be really nice and really great and really empathetic and still have closed doors in your mind and in your heart that you need to open so badly, but you don't even know they're there.
yeah,
You don't, it's not like, oh, there's that door, I'm not going to open it. You just don't even know. You don't even know
yeah.
it's.
Yeah, yeah, you don't know what you don't know. It's like the judgment of it, and you wanna be justified in
Mhm.
how you feel, and so it's like forgiving her somehow, does that make it okay that she did what she did or how she showed up or wasn't able to show up or whatever? And it's just like, oh my gosh, none of that matters. Like, she was doing her best all along the way. Her parents did their best. I mean, it goes back
Mm.
so far. It's just like, and it's not even just about them, right? It's like the circumstances, it's our society, it's the way that we just live every day. It's our foods, it's the air we breathe, It's all of it. All of it creates these conditions where we're sick. I feel like it's like a
Yeah.
plague inside of us humans, and we perpetuate pain really easily, and this medicine clears that up. It's like it just pushes the smoke or the fog or the
Yeah.
haziness of it all away, so you can just see things more clearly.
Yeah. It really does. I mean, I had this moment in the journey with the medicine where was like I was in the room where I was being born. And it was like I was looking down into it,
Mm,
and I saw my mom and I saw my dad. Unfortunately, the relationship with my biological dad just can't be repaired right now because of his drug use. But um, it what came to me in that moment, in seeing them in this space and in that time, was they they were so happy, and I had never considered that.
mm,
And they always wanted to be like that, right? They
mm.
always
Yeah.
wanted. There was never a moment where I was born and they said, all right, let's just, see how much we can screw this up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And these things I had never considered. I had never
Mm,
them. And so even the tenderness I feel towards my biological dad without contact has helped me heal.
yeah.
And sometimes there are barriers, right? Like it's a barrier. His drug use and addiction creates an environment where he's hostile toward me, and he's tries to devalue me. And so those are things that I can't
Yeah.
fix or change. Um, but I have a different awareness of him,
Yeah.
and I have a different feeling about him. And even though I can't heal or repair that relationship right now, it's okay. The way I feel about it is very, very much changed
Yeah.
and very much healed. And I do feel compassion for him. I don't have the means to express it to him. I don't have a healthy avenue to express
Yeah,
it.
that's okay. That's okay. At least it's not hurting you.
Mhm.
You're not walking around with that resentment and anger and frustration and all of that. You're doing the best you can too with what's in front of you.
Yeah.
And that's so beautiful. Have you noticed other relationships in your life that have evolved with your kids or friends or things like that?
Yeah, my kids know that I what I did. I told them both.
Mhm.
I felt like it was important for I told them after. I
Yeah.
didn't tell them before. I didn't know what kind of anxiety or worry it could instill in them, and so I thought it was best to hold that back until I was done. Didn't tell my parents either until after. Um, but afterwards, I did share with them, and yes, uh, you know, first of all, there's just this part of you that, or part of me anyway, that opened up, that was like helped me to refocus my energy and my time
Mhm.
in ways that are more meaningful.
Mhm.
Um, I've deprioritized going to bed with a clean house every night.
Yeah.
Not sorry. It doesn't need to look like I'm expecting company every day. It needs to look like people live here and love here.
Yeah.
And so that's changed. Um, I have found this playful seriousness with them, because we have to be serious with our kids, right? There's just times where it's just like can't always be fun and games, and there's lessons and there's things we're meant to teach them. But it doesn't have to be angry, and there doesn't have to be yelling, and consequences don't have to be devastating and hurtful, you know? And I don't think they ever were. I never like, spanked my kids or anything, but we've kind of found this path towards this playful seriousness with each other where it's like, this is serious and we have to talk about it, but we can integrate a playfulness with that and still get to where we need to go, you know? So
Yeah.
I think there's just this I don't know how else to explain it. I think the doors is the only way I can really explain it. It's like it's up there, it's in you, it's part of you. You just don't know about it until you know, do something that gets you to where you need to be, to where you can see that door, open it, and welcome it into your life. And for me, that's really been big with the kids. Just having the like I mean, I have for sure still lost my shit here and there. I'm a human being, but yeah, it's not all been like we're not sliding down rainbows into the backyard. But we do. I think just me having the ability to, like I said, the playful seriousness. It's okay. We can be serious, but we can also still play with this. And I want nothing more than to impart on them what I came away with, so that they can start sooner and start earlier. And
Yeah. Well, you're doing that. You're repairing. I mean, by you keeping an open communication and being able to sit with discomfort with your mom, you're able to do that with your kids too.
mhm,
You're not perpetuating the same pattern that you and her had with
yeah.
them. And so you're changing generations just in how you parent, how you show up, and creating a safe place for them to be able to speak and share also, and to still have the rules and like expectations and things like that. But I'm sure how you show up for your kids is probably really different than how your mom and or mom and dad or whoever, showed up for you.
Yeah, it is really different. I was talking to my mom about that today a little bit too this morning. I said, "Hey, it's okay for us to get into an uncomfortable place in a conversation." In the conversation, I said something, and her response was, "Well, I'm just a loser." And I
Oh
was,
my gosh.
that would that's what it does, and that would have set me off into space. Like
Oh man, she's just being a martyr.
I I walked over and I said, "No, you're not." And I said that whatever in here that's telling you that, I hope you'll look into it, because that's such a harsh message on yourself.
Yeah, yeah, it's just not true.
But instead of me going, "Oh my God, that's ridiculous. You're feeling sorry for yourself," and storming out, which is 100% what would have happened.
Yeah.
100, I could overly guarantee that. I would have lost it and been like, "Oh my goodness." Um, but I was able to just
Yeah.
urge her to have some compassion for herself. And as she's like, "Well, I don't know how to transition out of, how we end this conversation." And I said, "Well, we just maybe talk about how uncomfortable it is right now,
Yeah.
and we stop and remind ourselves that we love each other. And even when things are uncomfortable, we still love each other." And I really did walk on my walk home. I didn't turn on any music. I just walked, and I was like, "Wow,
I did that. I held that space.
crazy is that?"
Yeah. And you know what? She's thinking like, dang, that's awesome. Like, what a fantastic human. You're teaching her so much. And I'm sure she's so grateful for the grace and the love. And thank you for doing the work, and healing your family lineage backwards and forwards.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? But
Yeah.
you can't tell somebody this is what you're gonna get if if you come on that retreat. I think for a minute though, I want to just say that the other modalities that were involved, the breath work, the meditation, was absolutely life changing. So what I would say is, if this retreat and I did everything but the medicine, I would have come away so much richer, so much stronger, with new tools, with new ideas, with new understanding. Obviously, the medicine had just a profound effect on me and my life and my brain and my heart. But all the other things too, that I had a very big breathwork moment. And
Yes.
I'll try to be quick. I would say that in life, I didn't have a lot of physical touch as a kid that was like, I didn't have a lot of positive, nurturing, hands on. So I created a world where I didn't need it and I didn't want it. Because if I
Mm,
didn't want it, then I wasn't not getting it. I just didn't want it.
yep.
And so this was my narrative. And there was a moment before breath work or before anything where we were invited to say if we didn't want anybody to touch us.
Mhm.
And I sat with that really hard because I'm like, this is where I say I don't like to, this is where I tell people, right? This is where I say my narrative
Yeah.
created. And I didn't. It was almost like when I was teetering on coming or not coming, I'm like, do I say it? Do I not say it? Do I say it? Do I not say it? And then the moment passed and I didn't say it. And then we do breath work. And I have this massive release of emotion that I don't even feel coming. It just comes and it's loud and it's guttural. I don't know what other word to use. And it absolutely catches me off guard. And can I name the person?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
And Hummingbird. So when I say not being touched, I mean not my hand held, not hugged. And she laid her entire body on my body.
Mhm. It's
So
that weighted blanket.
talk about the exact opposite of what I've trained myself to believe I want and need in that moment.
Mhm.
And I just I don't even know if I had the ability to not let it happen, but I let it happen. And it was so powerful and so strong and so healing. I don't have, like, I have broken free from that narrative.
Yeah.
I've broken free, and that happened before we even took the medicine. I've broken free from that narrative. I don't say that anymore.
Yeah.
And I was saying it for 45 years, right?
Yeah.
40 years of saying, well, I didn't start when I was 0. So we'll say like 37.
Yeah. Yeah.
Many years of creating that message. And that message was really helpful for little me. That message helped me not feel like I wasn't getting. And that's the only way I knew how. But that message, that narrative, that thing that I had created about myself, it was not helping 45-year-old me.
Yeah.
Mm-mm, not for years. It hasn't been.
Thank you for sharing that. I think the other modalities are really helpful. You don't have to put anything in your body. You are the medicine. We have everything we need to do this deep healing work. The medicine is for sure a fast forward button in a lot of ways, and it takes you to places I don't know how we get there otherwise. I mean, truly, I mean, years of therapy or other modalities, it's very unique in what it does. But yes, breath work, meditation, yoga, sound healing, they're all so important in just helping us get back to a baseline that is true, like a true human baseline. And so thank you for committing to the process, for even when you were afraid, just saying, well, I'm here. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to just go for it. Probably thinking I'm not going to need to be touched anyway. So it's okay if I say no, because what's going to happen? I'm just breathing, not really knowing that, like, just taking in a lot of that breath and doing that exercise can be really emotional. But because of that, I think you really set yourself up to win. You set your body and mind up for a journey that was ready to receive. And I'm so glad that you have seen this progression of what's possible and that your life feels maybe more connected to people. And,
Hmm.
I'm sure the relationships that you have since formed or are forming or whatever probably feel different too. I know, like, you and Sam, one of the other gals, have become like really, really great friends. So there's like just such beautiful things that can
Yeah.
come from these experiences where we are vulnerable and we allow ourselves to be seen.
I would say that those friendships they were formed in they, it's very rare that friendships are formed in that environment, right? Most of our friendships we form in the world,
Yeah.
being wherever. Um, it's not very often you form a friendship in that space. And those friendships, yeah, Sam for sure. She's one of my very best friends. She's I can't imagine life without her. I talk to her every single day.
Yeah.
And
I love it.
I will even say this, the way that like I saw Ashley 2 weeks ago, I see Whitney periodically, and the way that I hug those people
Mm,
is completely like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's
yeah.
just, ah,
Soul sisters,
yeah,
lifelong, lifelong. They
yeah,
know you, they've seen you.
they've seen me, they've held me, we went through something together that was so profound and so big and so meaningful. And
Yeah.
I think we all, the one thing that we have in common, aside from just being on the journey, is most of us really haven't been that vulnerable with other people in a really long time. And so it just created this foundation for just the most beautiful friendships.
Yeah.
Truly, truly, I can't imagine not knowing them, you know?
Yeah. Well, you were meant to, obviously, go circling all the way back around to the beginning, of like that synchronicity that was like, let me make this real clear for you. I mean, you probably needed that incredible synchronicity to get your butt through that door because the fear was so great. And
Yeah,
so it was like the universe was like, I am going to make this so profound that when you are about to back out, you don't, and you will thank me later,
yeah,
and look at where you are with these beautiful friendships that you maybe never would have met, these people, or if you had, you still maybe wouldn't have connected in such a deep way. The way that you've been able to heal the family lineage, beautiful. Probably the way you just feel about yourself and life in general, if I can put words into your mouth, is um
yeah, you can put those ones.
more connected, that, yeah, just more self-worth and love, and you deserve just what you deserve, and what others deserve, and giving them the grace until they can accept that for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, some of my friends that I've had for a long time have said, like, "When did you get so wise?" Or, I'm like, "Oh, I don't I don't know."
Yeah, I need to go back and journey again, get some more
But
wisdom. What's next?
oh my gosh, and just, I mean, even all the, like, for me, when I think about you, when I think about Aaron, when I think about, Hummingbird, when I think about Lori, when I think about all of you, if I ever, like, just saw you in the world, I would just melt into you.
I get it. I
'Cause
get it.
I
'Cause
just
that's how we're supposed to be all the time with each other,
yeah.
all the time, and with even complete strangers. Just like, oh my gosh, I see you, brother. I see you, sister. Like we're all just freaking doing our best in this crazy world. And I'm
Yeah,
so grateful we get these experiences that help us to connect more.
that's so true because I would say that in the last, 3 or 4 months, when I've met people out in the world, I have formed new friendships so much faster.
Yeah.
Like, we just become like, oh, because we can go deeper, we can connect deeper, and it's crazy how hungry people really are for that,
Yes. Yeah.
and you don't really notice it until you start noticing it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's who we are. It's what we're meant to connect with nature. We are nature, right? So to connect with that, to connect with ourselves and with one another. And it's like we're just coming back to a new baseline that is our actual baseline. We were just so far off for so long. And I think the medicine, that's the goal. Like, come on, humans, come
Yeah.
home. Come home. You were out there way too far. Way too far. Come back. Come back.
Well, I mean, just the little things, like, I have different tools, right?
Yes.
So I have a
Yes.
little 5-minute meditation saved on my phone. It's a 5-minute meditation. I found that it's like, even if I tell myself I don't have time, I always have 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I've gone back to yours again and again because I think because that was what I experienced. My brain and my heart are connected to that voice, that person,
Mhm.
that cadence. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so that would be like when I have 10, 15, 20, whatever minutes.
Sometimes longer.
That's what I choose because that's the most I feel I get is when I listen to your meditations. Again, I think it really just is like that's where I found it. And so
Mhm.
that's where but I did challenge myself because I'm like, well, what about those times? And I did. I found a 5-minute breathing. It's a breathwork meditation. And I've used it, I can't even tell you how many times, so many times. Because I'm like, I only have 5 minutes. I can always make 5 minutes. And that I've never I've never been that way. I turn the shower cold for the last 2 minutes every single day.
Good job.
So I've created thing and I mean, what I discovered in our cold plunge is that makes me feel alive and refreshed, and it feels good to my body, and it feels good to my soul, it feels good to everything.
Yeah.
So many little tiny things every day, right?
Yep. That's it.
Sharing gratitude with certain people. I call them random, just super random. I will just every day I randomly throw out gratitude towards people in my life.
Yeah.
Recognize something they've done or said or how they're living their life or what they've done for me, or and that in and of itself is has strengthened my relationships.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
I could do this for a very long time, but
Thank you.
right here on my
Oh, I love it. I love that it's right there. A little reminder. Thank you so much for sharing all of this with me and with whoever else is out there listening and curious. Thanks for sharing and being open about the fears that you had and just how worth it being courageous and stepping towards that has been for you, and how even 6 months later you have these forever changes and benefits. I think that testimonial will speak volumes to people who are on the fence. Any final thoughts from you for anyone out there who's considering whether it's through a retreat setting or just sitting with the medicine or any of these other modalities? Any final thoughts for anyone?
I think the biggest thing is that I walked away with is it's be afraid but do it anyway. I
Yeah.
can't think of a better way to walk yourself through it. Be afraid. It's okay. It's okay to feel all those feelings, but you deserve it. And the way that I feel about myself for the fact that I was afraid and I did it anyway is has given me a completely different level of self-love. So, I think it's just my final thought would be love yourself hard enough to do this for yourself,
Mm,
and it's okay to be afraid and do it anyway.
thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. Thank you
Thank
for being willing to come on and share because
thank you
yeah, it's
for the
everything.
you created for us, for the opportunities. I mean, I know it's the medicine and I know all of that, but the group of people you've put together and found in your journey and you know allowed to be in this space with you, it's meant the world to me. So thank you so much.
I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for your time today. And
Yeah.
thank you, everyone out there, for listening. My name is Eva Payne. This is Ideas to Human Better. Shana, hang on. Let me just end this. And if you're interested in this retreat, maybe send me your 5-minute meditation too. Maybe I'll stick that in the show notes down below for anyone who might be interested in that. But thank you all so much, and may we all find that peace and come together and have the grace and love for ourselves and for one another, so that we can show up better in this crazy life. Much love.